So we are officially live on the YouTube. Woohoo! And yeah, we'll get started in like 2 or 3 minutes, as per usual. I'm gonna go ahead and make my float. Boom. Workshop number 8. This is for workshop number 8. World Academy. Boom. Right. Cool. All right, I just made it. Season finale. Yep, you're right, NJ. It's kind of sad. BC can be the guest speaker for this session. Yeah, BC, you're the guest speaker. Devon says, wow, almost missed it. Yo, 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 what's up, Brad? YouTube is better to attend the session or Discord. Karan, I would use Discord since you're here. Dear user, we regret to inform you that we could continue just... Oh, no. Oh, that sucks. Sorry, hi. That sucks. That really sucks.
Jacob, I think your float didn't go through. Like there's an error in the transaction.
Oh, how'd you know that, PZ?
I don't know. You know.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I just have a very strong feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
Cool. Yeah, my intuition never fails me.
Yeah, no, I yeah, just you felt in the air.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get started in like 1 more minute, everyone, just to give people time to roll in. And this is, yeah, it's our last one. No, I'm gonna have to do this again with worse students in 2 weeks. Oh no. Just kidding. They're gonna be great, but maybe not as cool as you. God, I don't know why it's failing. Why is it failing? This is weird. Okay, well, I think so. Maybe someone pushed an update to float recently. No, what's going on? What? Something weird is happening. Okay, well, I'll have to figure that out at the end, I guess. I don't know what's going on. All right, so yeah. All right, cool. Welcome everybody to the last workshop. I don't know, something's happening with the float. I'll have to figure this out at the end. So just give me a moment at the end to do that. But yeah, this is the last workshop. Wow, we've almost made it. Like I said before, it seems like time is just absolutely flying. It's going by so fast, but you know, I'm so happy and so proud of everyone that's made it this far. And I'm really hoping that you finish the boot camp. You've all done such great jobs so far, and yeah, let's just let's end it with a bang, shall we? So in this workshop, we're actually not going to be learning anything new. we're going to be tying everything that we've done so far together to make our own NFT contract. So let me share my screen. Yeah, so we've already sort of created our NFT contract, and in fact, I saved the contract before, the Busy Bees one. And this is, a totally fine contract. We pretty much made a contract that has NFTs, it has an ID, a name, interface, a collection, right? So all these things that we need in an NFT contract, we pretty much have it. And it's like pretty much, like all the functionality we would need. The only thing that it doesn't have is it doesn't conform to the NFT standard. So we talked about standards in the last workshop, and all the, quirks and reasons to abide by a standard. But today we're actually going to make our NFT contract fit the standard so that if you wanted to, you could take your contract, put it on Testnet, or heck, even deploy it to mainnet when you can in the middle of June. This could be your own NFT contract if you wanted to. So the goal is to get you all your own NFT contract, get you all something you can be proud of. And we'll deploy it to Testnet at the end of this session. So cool. Let's just go ahead and sort of, I'm not even going to really look at this. You can tell it's sort of a long chapter, and I indicate that with this little face here. There's a lot to do, but that's okay. And we're going to work through it together. So before we actually get going, let's actually bring in the NFT standard. So in order to do that, I wonder if I actually mention it. Right here. So, so let's go ahead and take the NFT standard, which is literally just another contract, but it's a contract interface. And let's deploy it to account 4. All right, so let's deploy it. Boom. We've deployed it. So we've deployed it to account 4, and we're going to import non-fungible token from account 4. And then we're going to do, we're going to do the thing, and we're going to implement it just like that. So lo and behold, this creates about 15,000 errors. And that's because, it doesn't fully abide by it yet. So, let's go ahead and do this. So what I'm going to do, actually, I think would be better is I'm maybe going to, oh, wow. Okay. I can't even do that. Never mind. All right. Nice. Flow Paragon sucks. So we're going to go back and forth between the non-fungible token standard and our contract and figure out why some of these errors are happening. Okay. So first of all, we get an error right here. The first error is obviously this one. It says contract Busy Bees does not conform with the interface non-fungible token, right? So, sorry, I keep coughing. I'm sick. So obviously this doesn't work, right? Okay, so here's the first error. We're going to work through this like a puzzle. So resource Busy Bees is missing a declaration to require conformance non-fungible token to INFT. So let's go back to our standard. Oh, God. Let's go back to our standard, and let's look at this right now. So the standard says we need to have a NFT resource that implements INFT. And remember, INFT is coming from right here. So inside of our contract, how do we fix this error? And also, just to point out, I'm going to make this workshop very interactive. So pretty much everything I do, I'm going to ask you guys for help because it's our last session. I'm going to miss you, and 2, I want to make sure that you're all following. So what do we need to do right here? Yep, that's right, Q. But this is more specific than that. Exactly. Yep, exactly, BG. So we actually need to make sure that it's coming from the standard. Yep, good, great job, guys. .inft, right? So perfect. And you'll notice that, because I'm such an incredible instructor, and you'll probably never find an instructor better than me, but because I'm such an amazing instructor, I actually already made most of this contract fit the NFT standard without you even knowing it. So it already has an ID here, and remember, that's all we really need. If we go back, see, all we need is an ID here. We already have that, so there's not going to be any further errors. We've already done it. So boom, our NFT is already conformant, and that's amazing. All right, let's keep going. So now we get to our collection, right? Does not, conform to provider, receiver, collection public. So I'm sure all of you, will know the solution to this one. It's pretty much just like the last one, but you'll notice that in the contract or in the standard, collection implements provider, receiver, and collection public, all of which are coming from right here. So collection public, receiver, and provider. So what do we need to put on the collection in order to implement that? Any guesses? Yep. So NJ says non-fungible token dot. So I'm assuming you just got tired and didn't want to type out all the three of them. But yeah, you're totally right. So it's non-fungible token dot provider. Yep, exactly, Ricardo. So non-fungible token dot provider, non-fungible token. Okay, I can't even see my screen. Non-fungible token dot receiver, and non-fungible token dot collection public. All right, boom. And for right now, I'm going to leave my, the one that we defined. I'm going to leave it here, and I'm going to tell you why in a bit. But let's just actually, do I want to do that? No. Okay, so, to make this more simple, I'm actually going to get rid of that, and we'll come back to it later. Okay, cool. Nice. All right. So we still get some errors here. Why is that? So this is when things get a little complicated. So it's saying that our collection, even though we've implemented them, right? So even though it's no longer missing a conformance, right? They're here. It's saying, our collection does not conform to the requirement. Okay, so why is it saying that? Well, let's go back. Let's go down, and let's take a look. So what do these things require, right? So the provider says you have to have a withdraw function that takes in a withdraw ID that's UN64, and remember, the parameter names have to match exactly. So we have to make sure that our withdraw function also takes in a withdraw ID written just like that. That's the same type. And then it, returns a NFT resource type. But think about it. What type is this referring to? It's referring to this NFT, right? So what do we have to put inside our contract in the withdraw, right? We already have withdraw ID, but what's the problem with this type? What type is this referring to? And you're going to notice a pattern, by the way, with all these questions. It's pretty much the same answer. Yep, so Ricardo got it. So Numini, the reason it's not that one is because that's the resource interface, but the provider is talking specifically about, a NFT resource, right? So this is the NFT resource that's defined right here. And furthermore, if we actually even scroll down, you can see it more clearly in the collection, right? So withdraw takes a NFT resource, but that resource is pointing to, this local type right here. So inside of our contract, we need to put non-fungible token .nft. Okay. Yeah. So it's a specific type. So we have to make sure we keep the type. Yep. So that's great. So you'll notice now that we no longer get an error about provider because we already implemented provider. So boom, it works now. So without, taking up too much time, if we scroll down here, we're going to notice a similar pattern with everything else, right? So owned NFTs has a NFT resource, right? Deposit has an NFT resource. Borrow NFT has a NFT resource, right? A reference to an NFT. So what do you think we're going to have to do? And I know I'm being repetitive, to all of our NFT types. What are we going to have to replace them with? No worries, Karan. See you later. This will be recorded. So in case anyone missed it, I'll ask again. So because in our, standard, yeah, same as he typed same as Ricardo before he even typed it out. I love that. But yes, that is the answer. So we have to make sure that all of our types are actually non-fungible token dot, right? Non-fungible token dot. Okay. So let's just do that for all of them. So let's change this one, right? And that looks good to me. Cool. All right, so we're still getting an error. Yeah, you can actually queue. So if you type Control F, it'll bring up this thing, and you could do something like replace NFT with non-fungible token.nft, and then click this little button right here, which means replace all. Yep. So, wow, okay, so I'm stumped for a second. I don't know why it's not, what am I missing here? Owned NFTs, borrow, deposit, get IDs, borrow NFT? Anyone know what I'm missing? Oh, I'm missing this one. I forgot to change this one. Oops, I'm silly. Okay. So nice. Now our collection has no more errors. Yay! Awesome. So the collection's fine now. And what else is the problem? So let's keep looking. So we have a create empty collection here, right? And this returns a collection type. But let's go back to our our thingy here. So this returns a collection type inside the standard. So that means once again that this type is referring to the collection that's written right here. So in our contract, we have to actually put non-fungible token dot collection. All right. Sweet. Now, there's a few more things that we forgot to do, and that's all at the top. So in our standard, you know, we have a total supply that we don't have, so we need to make sure we bring this total supply over. And they also have all these events: contract initialized, withdraw, deposit. So let's bring all these things over to our contract. Boom. So now we have them. But we're getting a problem with total supply, and that's because, well, we forgot to initialize it. So let's go into our initializer, say self.totalSupply equals 0. Yay. Oh, and we also want to make sure that this is dot. Okay. And lo and behold, we've done it. So now our contract completely fits the NFT standard, and it's an official contract on the Flow blockchain. Woo! That's awesome. But we still have some added, things that we want to add in here, because we're not fully done. And the reason for that is because, well, we're not even updating the total supply, right? So let's go ahead and do that. So every time an NFT resource is minted, so in its init function, we can say, busybees.totalSupply equals busybees.totalSupply plus 1, right? That way we increment the total supply. Let's just go ahead and deploy this and see if everything's working. Okay, it's not, because the playground's awesome. All right, and then also with our events, we actually need to emit these events somewhere. So for contract initialize, that's pretty straightforward. We can just emit that in the init function of the contract. And it doesn't even take any parameters, so that's pretty self-explanatory, right? And then we have two more, so withdraw and deposit. So let's go ahead and make sure that we do those. So in our deposit function, let's say emit deposit ID and 2. So what's the ID? Well, the ID is token.id, but we need to do this before we actually deposit it, because once we deposit the token, we no longer have it, right? It's gone. It's moved. So we actually need to do this beforehand. So the ID, and then who is it to? Well, self.owner.address. Now, we haven't talked about this yet, actually, which is pretty interesting. But what self.owner.address is, it's a really, really useful thing in Cadence, because it gives you the address of whoever owns this collection. So, you can imagine when someone has this collection inside their account storage, self.owner.address will return that account or that address. So when we emit an event, we can say the ID is the token.id, and the person we deposited to is self.owner.address. Now, the reason I put this question mark is because if you scroll up, I don't know why, honestly, but they're expecting an address optional. So in order to make this an optional type, right, because this is just an address type right now, to make it an optional, we can just put that little question mark here. And now it'll either, if self.owner is not nil, it'll return the address. But if self.owner is nil, it'll return nil. Exactly, Ricardo. So self.owner can be nil, and the reason for that is because self.owner refers to the owner of the collection in their account storage. But you can imagine a case where we load or take out the collection from someone's account storage and then call withdraw on it, and in that case, this will return nil. So in my opinion, if I were to write the contract over, if I were to write the standard, I actually would make this a full-on like not optional, because I think it'd be better to force people to have the collection in their storage to deposit to it. But, you know, it's sort of the same thing. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Awesome. So the next thing we have to do is the withdraw function. So let's go ahead and the ID, and then it's from parameter. Also, I never understood why this was capitalized or why this was like highlighted, but I don't know. I guess it's a thing in Cadence. So to withdraw it, let's go ahead and emit withdraw. The ID is the withdraw ID, and the from is self.owner.address. Cool. Nice. And then there's one other thing we have to do, but it's not that obvious. So I have a question for you all. So in this deposit function, right, look at what's happening. We're taking in, right, so this is a contract for Busy Bees, right? This contract is for Busy Bees NFTs. So in our collection, we, you know, want to store Busy Bees NFTs. So does anyone see a problem with our current deposit function? What is weird with our deposit function right now about what it's taking in and what it's storing? Any guesses? Yeah, the hint is the type. Yeah, look at the type. What's weird with the type right now? Yeah, BG. Yeah, so like BG said, the problem with this deposit function is that it's allowing any NFT to be taken in and stored, right? So that's, you know, sometimes a problem, sometimes not. Sometimes you're okay with storing something like that, but a lot of times you don't want to do that. And the reason for that is because, you know, not everyone uses self.uuid for their resources, right? Sometimes people use the total supply. So you can imagine for something like Goated Goats, right? If their IDs are incremented by total supply, then they have NFTs with IDs 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all that, right? So if you were to allow a Goated Goats to deposit to your collection, right? Because it, you know, that's a Goated Goat is also a non-fungible token NFT, right? So if you allow that to get deposited here, then when you deposit it at a token.id, which could be 0, for example, then that automatically takes up the 0 place. And if any other NFT has that ID, then you're screwed. So what we want to do here is we want to make sure that that the NFT that gets deposited is actually our type. So we can do that a few ways, but the easiest way to do that is to say this: let NFT be token as a resource of busybees.nft. And what this will do is this will force cast this token to busybees.nft. And if it fails, then it'll panic because of this panic operator right here. So then we can change everything to NFT, NFT, and NFT. And now we're fine. So Ricardo says, in that case, you have two entries in the dictionary with potentially the same key. Could you even say it's the NFT in that case? No. The reason for that is because of this force move operator. Remember we talked about this before, where so you have the NFT ID as the key, and the force move operator will only move the resource in there if it's an empty key. So that way we don't overwrite the resource. So I believe we are nearly done with our contract. Does anyone have any questions? And make sure to thumbs up or thumbs down this if you're lost. And again, no shame at all in thumbs down. All right. Could you just change the parameter type? No, you can't. And the reason for that is because it would fail the standard. So if we change this, look what would happen. See, now there's a problem with the collection. Because it doesn't fail the standard anymore. Or it doesn't conform by the standard anymore. So we have to sort of do it a backwards way to make sure that it's correct. All right. See, it seems like everyone's doing all right. What if you add an interface that conforms? No, you can't do that, because the only way that this will ever work with the NFT standard is if it conforms to this type. So even if we added like a different interface, it would still fail the NFT interface. Yep. So we're forced to do it this way. Yep. Exactly like Bam said. All right, so that is our NFT contract. And so, because of this, we now have to change a lot of our, types, right? Because things are pretty different now. So if we go back to here, so when we set up our collection now, remember we deleted the iCollection interface now. So there's other things we want to expose. So what are the things we're going to want to expose when we link our collection to the public? Well, there's provider, and just provider allows the withdraw function, right? Actually, we can go look at it. So provider allows the withdraw function, receiver allows the deposit function, and collection public allows the deposit, get IDs, and borrow NFT. So you can see right off the bat that collection public and receiver are totally fine to link to the public, because it's the deposit, the get IDs, and borrow NFT, right? Which is fine. Whereas the provider allows the withdraw function, so we definitely don't want to link that. So when we go to set up user storage, what we want to do is we want to set up those interfaces. So we can actually import non-fungible token from 0x04 and link non-fungible token dot receiver and non-fungible token dot collection public. All right. I can say it's too hard for me. Well, it's only too hard for you, Hyde, because this is the end of the boot camp. So if you want to, I would definitely recommend checking out the boot camp we do next month. It'll be the same exact one, and it'll start from square one, so you'll be able to follow along. All right. So this is our new setup collection, where we just change what we're linking to the public because our collection, abides by new interfaces now. So boom, there's that. Okay, so let's set up account 1, or let's set up account 2 actually. Oh my god, it's glitching. I don't know. Oh my god. Okay, we'll just have to make a new one. We're so close, everyone. So close. Okay. So let's set this up from account 2. Boom, we saved a collection to our storage. Woohoo, we did it. All right. So now let's try and mint an NFT. All right, so we need to sign this from the admin account, if you remember back a few workshops ago, because in our contract, remember we saved an admin to the deploying account, which is 3. So the admin account is 3 in this case. All right, so if we go ahead and mint an NFT, how do we do this? Well, we get some errors actually. And why is that? Well, it's because to deposit an NFT now, we actually need the receiver interface, right? Because in non-fungible token, right, the receiver is what, allows the deposit function publicly. And we just linked that, right? So inside mint NFT, we need to import non-fungible token from OX04 and then change this to non-fungible token dot receiver. All right. And this is going to work because in the last one we did, instead of collection, we linked that to the public. So the receiver. All right. Perfect. So let's go ahead and put a name. Let's name it bam.find. And oh, we don't need quotes anymore. I forgot. That's old cadence. Okay. And the recipient's going to be the second account because that's the one we set up. All right. So let's go ahead and send this. Oh, and we have to sign up from account 3 because that's the admin. So let's send it. Yay. We deposited an NFT to our collection. Woohoo. We did it. Yay. So we deposited. So let's actually go ahead and try and, confirm that we did that. So again, let's go ahead and import non-fungible token from OXO4. And, now because we want to call get IDs, I'll ask all of you, what interface are we going to want to pull from in order to get that? And, sort of hint, we can't do provider because we didn't even link that to the public. So which of these interfaces are we going to need to call get IDs? Yep. Great job, Ricardo. Great job. So in here, we can put non-fungible token dot collection public. That allows us to call get IDs. And it's because it's glitching. All right. And so we can call this with the second account because that's when we set up. Execute. And we get an error. Okay, so playground's being buggy. Great. Let's make a new one. Second account. What? Yes. Okay, it worked. So here is the, IDs that it returned. Boom. There it is. Yay. So an NFT is actually in there. All right. So this is going to bring us to the last part of the lesson, which is the metadata part. So spoiler alert, metadata is now completely screwed. And let's figure out why. So inside of our contract, you'll notice that we have a borrow NFT function, right? So we have a borrow NFT function, and it returns a type to a reference to non-fungible token.nft. All right. So this is the type it returns. So let's say we want to read the name of our NFT, right? So we want to read the name. All right. But borrow NFT returns this type. Does anyone see any problems with that? How are we going to get the name metadata field of our NFTs? And why can't we do it with this? Yeah. So Ricardo's got it. So inside of exactly Numini, great job. So inside of our non-fungible token standard, we can see that the NFT type only has the ID field. Okay. So that's going to be a big problem when we try to borrow an NFT, and let's actually see that. So let's go to our get metadata. Let's change this again to non-fungible token dot collection public, right? Let's import this. All right. And what? Oh. All right. And so now let's return a reference to non-fungible token. Oh, okay. Let's actually return string, and let's try to return the name. So let's say let NFT ref equals this, and then return NFT ref dot name. Uh-oh. Value of type non-fungible token NFT has no member name, right? And that's true because this type is a non-fungible token, just to make it more clear, .nft. All right. So it doesn't have the name field. So what we're going to have to do is inside our contract, we're going to have to make another function called public function borrow, Busy Bees NFT. Oh, that's a long name. So I'm just going to say borrow Busy NFT. That takes in an ID and returns a reference to the full NFT type. All right. And that way we can read the name on it because this NFT type refers to the one up here, which has the name. All right. So if we go back in here, we're going to say let ref. And for the record, this is very confusing, so I might actually have to go and cheat. But let's see if I can get it. So let ref equals a reference to self.owned NFTs at ID as auth, and we'll talk about what auth means in a second. But I think you already learned it in the chapter, right? And then we'll say return ref as. Oh, I got it. Okay, awesome. So you cannot downcast. Yeah. So so looking at this function now, what is this doing? Well, first of all, let's review what this is doing really quickly. So this is very simple, right? It's returning a reference to one of the stored NFTs. And it's doing that by saying return a reference to self.owned NFTs at ID as a reference to non-fungible token.nft, right? Very self-explanatory because that's the type inside the value. But in this one, we want to return the whole reference. So the question is, how do we go from this generic type, right, non-fungible token NFT, to our type, right, our NFT? And the answer is we have to downcast a reference. And the only way to do that is with auth. So what does auth mean? Well, auth is a way for us to take a generic reference and downcast it to a more specific reference. So we say, take the reference to self.owned NFTs at the ID as an authorized reference to this type. And then that way on the next line, we can say take ref and force cast it to this type, which is our NFT, and that's allowed because of auth. All right. So now we have a new function, but we have a problem. It's not publicly accessible because it's not in the standard. So we actually have to make our own I collection. I'm going to call it again with this type in it. Public, I don't know why I said function. With our type in it. All right. Nice. And so, so that now it's right there. All right, cool. So we can go ahead and redeploy. Oh, and also, oh, no, we can't. I forgot something. We forgot to add it to the list here. Let's go ahead and add iCollection. And yes, it's done. Cool. Actually, you know what? We can actually, let me just go one step further. We can actually put some other things on it too, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead, actually, and inside of here, let's add a precondition to this. Why not? Collection. So let's add a precondition to this. Let's add a precondition that, actually, let's add a post condition maybe, that the result.id equals the ID requested. Otherwise, you did not return the NFT requested. Right? So the post condition is going to run after this function's over and say, hey, the result, which is the resulting NFT reference, that one's ID is the same one that we requested, right? Cool. So we can go ahead and redeploy. Ugh. I swear. Let's redeploy the standard. Redeploy this one. Nice. And let's go ahead and change some of this stuff. So one more thing we have to do is inside our setup, we have to make sure now to expose iCollection. And there it is. So we now also expose BCBs at iCollection. Okay. So we can go ahead and run this from account 2. Yep, freeze and pose, baby. Yep, you're right, dude. Yep, exactly. So once again, because the playground just literally wants to kill me, let's fix this. I don't know what's going on. Delete this one. Okay. So let's run this from account 2. Nobody, that actually made me laugh. So that now we have a new collection. We can go ahead and mint an NFT. None of this changes, right? This is all the same. So let's go ahead and put Numini. The recipient is account 2, and we sign this from account 3. Bada bing, bada boom. It's minted. And now inside our metadata, so now we can actually get, instead of non-fungible token at collection public, we can get busybees.iCollection, which exposes the borrow NFT one that we want. So borrow busy NFT, and then return NFT ref.name, and this is no longer the type. Remember, the type now is busybees.nft. Cool. So inside our address, we can put account 2 and the ID. Well, actually, we don't even know the ID yet. We have to get the ID. So what's the ID of it? It's 2, right? So we have an NFT with ID 2. So if we go in here and type in 2, we should get the name, which is Numini. And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up our course. We are officially done. You've learned everything. Woo! Just kidding. You've learned an introduction to cadence. Woohoo! That is the introduction to cadence. Great job. So we are Jacobs now? In your dreams, Senjai, in your dreams. It'll take you about 4 to 5 more years to be at that level. When SCL class? Play the graduation song? What's the I'll let you guys decide. What's the graduation song? So yeah, BG says when FCL class. So great question, BZ. So not to self-promote again, but so on my channel actually, I just recently started a FCL series. So way back in the day, so if we scroll way back, this bootcamp was actually inspired by a complete Learn Cadence course I did. And you probably noticed in all the chapters, they all referenced my videos. So there's a complete Learn Cadence course on YouTube. And I'm now starting a Learn FCL course. So once the Learn FCL course is more developed, I'm going to transfer it into a written format, and then we'll run some boot camps. And in addition, we're going to have a advanced cadence course sometime in the next couple months, probably after the FCL one. And the advanced cadence course is so that you can actually learn much more about cadence, because for this boot camp, you know, we sort of taught you an intro, but there's a whole other side to it, which gets a little more complicated. So where can we get a proper development environment like to set up in like a proper pro? That's a great question, Ricardo. So maybe I can even help get you all set up with that. So you know what? Let's do it together. Okay, so I like that idea. So all right, what I'm going to show you in the next part of this boot camp is I'm going to allow you to yeah, okay, so I'm thinking through how many, because I didn't do this in the last boot camp, so what am I going to do? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I code in the real... Okay, I'll ask all of you. Do you all want me to show you how I code in the real world and like what I actually use to code cadence and how I would deploy to testnet? Would that be helpful? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. All right, so it sounds like the answer is yes. All right. So the playground is too stressful? All right, that's fine. Okay, so this is going to be a little more interesting, but let's do this. Okay, so inside the terminal, and by the way, I'm probably gonna mess up because I didn't do this last bootcamp, but yeah, okay, so for the record, if you are on Windows, your life is going to be a lot harder. So I know a bunch of you probably decide, and yeah. But if you're on Windows, your life's harder, and that's okay because I'm also on Windows, so I can help you. But if you're on a Mac, your life's going to be easy, okay? So the reason for that is because the Cadence VS Code extension is broken on Windows, which means that you have to install Linux, which is like a Linux subsystem for Windows. So you can notice right now that I'm actually using Ubuntu, which is a Linux terminal or a Linux subsystem for Windows, and Linux works. So yeah, so that's a slight disclaimer. Okay, so in order to actually install the Flow... Oh, hey, Max. Yeah, so it is broken. Yeah. Coding equals Max. True, yeah, true. So yeah, so the first step to actually doing this is if you go to the Flow website, go to documentation and go to Flow CLI. So the Flow CLI, click on follow these steps. So this is the sample. This is the page on how you actually... Yeah, it is, Max, because it reads paths wrong. Yeah. If that can be fixed, that'd be amazing, because so many people have problems with that. And it would probably save a lot of people so much time from having to install Ubuntu. But anyway, so what you're gonna want to do is go to this page. So I'll send this link in the chat.
Yeah, Hey.
All right, so I sent that link in the chat. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go. So if you have a Mac, I would suggest the pre-built library. So don't use Homebrew; it's a little more involved. I would suggest the pre-built library. So copy and paste this line. Okay. If you're on Linux, so if you're running like on Ubuntu, like I am, you copy and paste this line. And if you're on Windows, you copy and paste this line. Okay. So when I say copy and paste, you're gonna go to your terminal. You're gonna copy it and paste it. Okay. And you're gonna run this. Now I've already done it, so I'm not gonna do it again. But when you finish, hopefully, if you type flow version, you should see you get a version number, okay? So you know that you've properly installed it if you type flow version and a little version comes up, all right? That's step one. That's step one, okay? All right. So once you do that and you type flow version, then you should be done. Okay, so now I'm gonna go into like a little test directory here. What do I have? Academy. Okay. So I'm gonna go into a sample directory, and I'm going to open this up in VS Code. So I installed VS Code already. If you haven't, VS Code is a code editor. So it's what allows you to code in the real world. So, the Flow Playground is a code editor for, the Flow emulator and just allows you to put code in here. But Visual Studio Code allows you to code in the real world. So I just put that in the chat if you want to install VS Code. But, if you've ever coded before in your whole life, you probably have VS Code because it's just everyone uses it. But if you haven't, definitely check that out. So once you install VS Code, what I usually do is I type code space dot. And that opens up my current directory in VS Code. Okay, so this is what I always use. So code space dot. All right, so I'm going to open this up in VS Code. It does, Ricardo. Yep, it does. That's where the syntax highlighting comes in. So BG, that actually doesn't exist because you can't. So that's the whole thing with like permissionless deployment right now. Or you up to this point you haven't been able to deploy to mainnet yet, but starting on June 15th you'll be able to, and once that comes out I will show you exactly how to do that. But actually I'll show you how to do it right now actually, but you just won't be able to. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete everything in here. All right, so nothing's in here. Okay, so totally empty. All right, cool. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install the Cadence extension. So there's two ways to do this. One is if you go to the website, you can click on VS Code extension. And if you scroll down a little bit and you copy and paste this line, flow cadence install VS Code extension. If you copy and paste that into your terminal and press enter, that will install it. The second option is you can go to the extensions tab on the left. So inside VS Code, and you can look up Cadence. So if you look up Cadence, you can click on this one right here. Oh, really, Max? Oh, that's strange. Yeah, so then I guess I would recommend going to this one right here and clicking this button right here. So this is probably the easiest and best way. So install in WSL, Ubuntu. So if you click this right here, that will install it for, your VS Code. And then you've installed it if you go to, like what you've installed. And it's right here. So I did mine through the CLI, but if you do yours through here, then you'll see that icon. But as long as you have that, it's okay. All right. So then once you have the visual, then you're pretty much all set up. So after that, you're done. So what I usually do is the first step in order to get any syntax highlighting is you have to type flow init. Now flow init will generate a flow JSON for you in your project. And this will, set up some configurations and also allow you to have syntax highlighting in your project. So let's just have a non-fungible token contract, .cdc. And inside here, let's go ahead and copy and paste the standard. All right, there's the standard. Now, we're not getting any syntax highlighting right now, and that's because you usually have to refresh your VS Code. So once you type flow init, you usually have to refresh your VS Code for it to actually apply. So let's see if we get the highlighting now. We should. Let's see what happens. Yeah, we did. So Cadence language server has started, and if we make a mistake here, or let's just change this, we get an error, right? So yay, we can actually get errors inside of VS Code now. That's awesome. Cool. That's what that is. So let's make another contract called busybees.cdc, and we're going to copy and paste our contract from this bootcamp. All right. So let's paste that in. And now remember, we're no longer importing from a random playground address. We're importing from this contract that we have locally. So we can do that by saying import from ./non-fungible-token.cdc. Okay, and now all the errors go away. So what this means for those of you that haven't worked with code a lot before, this is a file path. So in order to get to something in the same directory, you do ./ and then non-fungible-token.cdc, right? Because that's the name of the file. So now all the errors go away. So it works. That's awesome. So now the last question is, how do we actually deploy this to mainnet? So that's what I'll show you right now. So inside your flow JSON, we want to deploy to testnet. Wait, oh, did I say mainnet? Oh, oops, I meant testnet. Yeah, thanks, Max. So we want to deploy to testnet now. Okay. So how do we do that? Well, we have to make a testnet account. So how do we make a testnet account? Let's do it together. Let's go to our terminal and let's type flow keys generate network equals testnet. Just like that. And if we type this command, I'll put this in the chat too. So if we type this command, this will generate a public and private key for our account. Now, of course, you're all going to see my private key. It doesn't matter. Oh, really, Max? I think you, I mean, it might have changed, but like a month ago, I tried to do it without the flag and it broke. But it might have changed, actually. So network equals, okay, so yeah, so if you type that, then you should get a public and private key. So obviously you're all seeing this private key, but this is on testnet, so it doesn't really matter, and it's whatever, okay? So, yeah, you do, fodder. Yep. So you need to do it on like a Linux subsystem. So we're gonna change our file really quick to add a testnet account. All right. So let's add a testnet account, and we need two things that I'm actually going to copy and paste from a tutorial we're doing. So let me just copy and paste this really quick. Sneak peek. Right here. Okay. Okay. So let's just copy and paste this, actually. So you need to have this thing called testnet account. You can really name whatever you want, but I would just call it testnet account, and then your address. So we need to generate an address using this public and private key pair. So the way to do that is to go to flow faucet, I think it's called. Oh yeah, of course we're gonna get a bunch of faucets. Love that. What is it called? Flow. Yeah. Okay. So it's testnet-faucet.onflow.org. And so if we copy and paste our public key into this box, right? Then we can click on I am human. What are the trains? I always get these wrong. Oh, nice. We did it. And then click create account. So do you think the emulator is better than the playground for dev? So for the emulator, I actually prefer the playground. And the reason for that is because with the emulator on like VS Code, you have to like individually send every transaction like on the CLI or a front end. And that's annoying to hook up. So now that we've generated, and also I know I'm going fast, by the way, but I know you can all watch this recording. So now that I've generated my address, we can go ahead and copy the address and paste it in our new address, right? So this is our new account, which is awesome. And we can take our private key and we can paste it right here, okay? This is a private key. Now in deployments, we can add a testnet deployment by doing this. Testnet account. And then add our contract called busybees.cdc, or just busybees. So the way to actually tell flow.json what busybees is in this contracts object. So we can say busybees comes from /busybees.cdc, right? And in addition, I think, Max, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure we also have to do the non-fungible token one. And the way to do this is to say source is / non-fungible token, and the aliases, right? So the reason we're doing this differently is because the non-fungible token standard, as we all talked about in the standard lesson, non-fungible token is already deployed to testnet, right? Like, it's a standard that exists out there, so we don't have to deploy it ourselves, which is why we're only deploying BCBs, right? So, God, I'm sorry. So we have to tell Flow.json where a non-fungible token lives on testnet. So we have to tell it that on testnet it lives at, and then of course I don't know the address, so let me go find it. Here it is, right here. So on the core contracts page of the website, we see that a non-fungible token lives at this address on testnet. So let's take that address, paste it right there, and we should be good to go now. So let's try it. If I run flow project deploy network equals testnet, it's deploying to testnet. And yeah. So by the way, to answer, so BG, you had a question about how to deploy to mainnet. So come June 15th or June 16th, it'll be exactly what we just did, except for mainnet. So you're going to type in flow keys generate, network mainnet. You're going to put mainnet account with the generated address, the private key, and then mainnet account, and you'll just deploy it just like we did for testnet. So boom, there it's deployed. And there we go. So BCBs is successfully deployed, and we can actually confirm that. So let's copy and paste their address. Go to the flow view source. I always go here. And paste the address, and we'll see that BCBs now exist on testnet. So that's, I guess, officially it. So recommendation. Oh wait, what did Bam say? So it's a good place to. So, and there's some built-in function missing on Playground. Also, you can only deploy. Oh yeah. So Q says recommendation for future courses: dedicate a day to sit through a release contract and walk through it, preferably a contract of a project. Oh, that's a great suggestion, Q. That's a great suggestion. So so Q, I guess, do you want to do that for this boot camp? Like maybe tomorrow or something? Yeah, so like Numi said, so you can all mint on testnet now. So if you wanted to, you can all now mint BCBs. All right, so yeah, Q, maybe I'll do that for you actually. If we want to do that, I'll walk through a contract. So, why doesn't just everyone want to type in some contracts in the chat, and we'll do that for tomorrow? BC with basic beast. Oh God. So Q said go to goats, NBA Top Shot, Flones. Whichever one gets the most votes will do. So thumbs up any answers you want, and we'll do that one. And if anyone wants the final playground, this is it. Okay, so I see we have 4 votes for Go to Goats, 4 votes for Top Shot, 1 for Flones, 2 for Flovitar. So I'm gonna make a poll. So Go to Goats. Actually, I don't want to do that. Too lazy. Looks like we have. Okay, so it looks like NBA Top Shot won. So is everyone okay with doing NBA Top Shot? Top Shot's a mess. Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, Top Shot is a mess. Hooded goats float. We can do go to goats if you want. That contract's actually pretty easy too. Go to goats isn't that bad actually.
But don't people mean, the what is called, like the whole back end system they have with, how they manage trades and stuff?
Oh, I'm not sure. I mean, like, I think they're talking about the contract specifically. Although I could be wrong. All right, everyone. So this is the float for this workshop, and the password is bye. No spaces, all lowercase. Oh wait, I have to resume it. One sec. Thanks, Ashley, for putting the poll. So it looks like goats won. Okay, yeah. So we'll do goats. Q's crying. Wait, why? What did Q want? Oh, that's why. Yeah. I know. So sad. Bye. All right, everyone. So before we leave, we have a few administrative things for all of you. The first one is so yeah, I mean, this boot camp is now over. I guess we're going to do the contract review tomorrow at the same time as today. And the last thing I'll say is that if you submit your quests, we have a we have a feedback form for all of you that we would like you to fill out. In order to get your final float, your certificate of completion, you have to fill out this form. So let me actually go ahead and I will make an announcement with that form. And again, in order to receive your float, you have to fill out that form. And even if you didn't, it's a feedback form. So I guess, like, even though you're not like technically required to, like, please, if you can, fill out that form. It helps us so much. Because we get to hear from all of you about what you liked about the bootcamp, and if you really hated me, you can put that in the form, but please don't, because we're sending to the flow team. LOL. Please. I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah. So put your feedback in the form. We hope you all liked it, and if you did, we have a lot more education content coming, and I mean a lot more. So to give you a little sneak peek, actually, I guess I'll give you a little sneak peek of what it's going to look like. We're actually developing an entire education platform for Cadence right now. So let me actually show you all this. Yeah. So as you all know, Emerald Academy exists, and this is a sneak peek of what it's going to look like in the future. It's going to be tutorials for dApps. So BG, I know you were asking about this, but we're going to have a Hello World dApp where you can literally walk through this and set up your own dApp, your own, learning FCL, all that stuff. So we're going to have all these available for free for all of you to do. And also we're going to have other ones like Simple NFT. And so all these tutorials are going to be available for you totally for free. And if you want to, we also have all these dApps are open source. So I'll show you all of them right now. So we have a Simple NFT tutorial that will walk you through a really nice README. This is actually completed. So a really nice README of minting NFTs, setting up your own DApp using FCL, all provided by Emerald Academy. So again, it's free. You don't have to do anything. And yeah. And I believe on the town hall on Sunday, we're gonna officially announce this. And it should be completed and out in the next week or so. So again, if you liked our content here in this bootcamp, you will absolutely like this stuff. And the cool thing about this is that you're going to be able to take all your Cadence knowledge and apply it to building actual dApps. So again, like, you know, a dApp will allow you to interact with all your Cadence on a front end. So yeah, I would really look forward to this. It's going to be super, super, super cool. So anyway, much love. Thank you so much for doing this bootcamp. If you want to, we're going to do a Goated Goats contract review tomorrow. Check out the town hall on Sunday. And please fill out the form because we really need that feedback. So thanks, everyone. Bye-bye, and I'll see you all tomorrow or Sunday for the town hall. Bye-bye. Numity, try to refresh the page. Thanks, Ricardo. It was a pleasure to have you. Thanks, Brad. See you tomorrow. Bye, Ricardo. Bye, Generous Kid. Bye, Rotation. Thank you all for your well wishes. The password's bye-bye, Ashley. All lowercase, no spaces. Bye-bye. Bye, Max. Thanks for coming. Oh, also, Max has a bunch of cool tutorials, too, to check out. I'll send that link in the Academy chat, too. Bye. You're so welcome, Q. Thank you. Thanks so much, Big Daddy Iraq. Heck yeah, Ashley. Oh, yeah. See you later. Bye, everybody. Bye, Brainchild.